Well, howdy there, Internet people. Tempest here, the old geek, learning a new trick. Let's talk about filament. Now, if you know anything about 3D printing, you know that filament is to people who 3D print like fabric is to quilters. And it can make a huge difference in the outcome of your project, what filament you select. Now, as much as I love Beau and had to do this little tribute, I'm going to have to break format here. Turn this into a hands channel. Come with me while we join me in my little mini 3D printer studio. And let's talk about these guys. Let there be light. Okay, now, I can't see hardly squat because these are in my face, but hopefully this gives you a real good look at the finish on these guys. This here guy, this little one here, was the first one we printed. We used a translucent PLA. Came out really nice. Everything's pretty well articulated. You can see as it moves around. You can see when I swirl it that all the tips bend both directions. This will be important in a minute. So it turned out pretty nice. Very, very slick, and the surface texture is very, very slick, very plasticky. Also kind of shiny, nice looking. If you know anything about fidget toys, you know that feel is important, and these are fidget toy tryouts for a kid. So I wanted to use different filaments because they result in different feels. Here's our second candidate. This was just a plain red PLA. This was from GST 3D. It's a PLA Plus. It's a little less plasticky feeling. Still turned out really well. This one we printed spiral. The first one was printed just with its legs straight out. This guy was printed in a spiral, which is a trickier print to do. And it took it just fine. Everything's pretty well articulated. There's one or two spots that stick a little now and then. Might have a little catch like that. But then they'll free up. That'll work over time and loosen up. So that guy's pretty good. This is a stand-in. I've got red silk on the way. This is a green silk, and you can see it's extremely shiny, and as you might imagine, it has almost a silky feel to the finish. So again, a different feel and look. I really love this PLA. I was really impressed by this stuff. This was 3D Solutech. And it's like a matte finish. It's completely different feel, very, very unplasticky. Doesn't really totally different than the other two. So I'm really excited to get the feedback about what they think about this one. Now, let's get to this one. Some of you may have seen the little video I did about the fact that this print failed and adjustments I made to do it. Now, it wasn't just this failure. Once I looked closer, I realized it was printed in the spiral, and it was sort of fine in one direction, but watch these legs when I go the other way. Do you notice some of them here are all caught and bent? And so this one definitely, this particular PLA, while really nice and shiny with this metallic silk effect, this is a color changing one too. It goes from red gradually to gold and then back again. Don't get a lot of it over a little model. But you know, there's a price to pay sometimes for these little neat features like this color changing stuff, which looks really cool if you're trying to make a fire effect or something. So what I had to do is I went back to the straight out print. That's a little more tolerant print to begin with. And the other thing I did is this type of failure is caused by something called, usually caused by something called die swell. The filament comes out, it's unsupported, it turns fat like a little tiny balloon, and it especially happens around corners. We'll talk more about that. I'll make another video on that. It's a great subject to cover, and I'll geek out with that over you. Get all Alton Brown style over things here. But by doing, so what I did to correct for that also was I increased the temperature because that typically helps kind of fight dye. It makes a little more plastic, a little more fluid, less likely to try and suck back up into its prior shape after it's been squirted out that little nozzle. So you notice those two little adjustments is the only things I did. I went back to the star out print like this where everything was straight and raised the temperature just a little bit because this temperature, I was in the middle of its range, and this printer tends to like them a little hotter. And so usually you need to run up toward the top of the range. But there you have it. We'll kick a little left fire. That guy goes to the Highland of Mystery Toys. These guys are all going to go off to a little kid who I hope will really appreciate them. His mom was interested if in getting into 3D printing, wanted to know if, maybe they could make fidgets, didn't even know about these articulated prints. It was a great chance for me. This octopus is a classic. It's really easy to find. This is iconic. Kudos to the designer on this. I'm a technician, craftsman at best. The people who design this stuff are really artists, and it's really fun to play with what they come up with and share that with you. That's all I've got for you today. If you like this content, you know the deal. Like the video, subscribe, it helps. I'm a tiny channel just getting started, so I can use every like and every subscription you can give me. I'm not planning to turn this into a big moneymaker. Like Dave of Dave's Garage says, I'm in it for the subs and likes. So thanks a lot, and you folks have a great day.